Why do we fall in love with those who wound us? Not just once, but again, and again, and again. Like moths drawn to a flame we know will burn us, we return. Not out of ignorance, but out of something deeper, something unseen. What if I told you that the love you seek is a war you never stopped fighting? That every heartbreak, every abandonment, every silent scream in the night, is not random, but a reenactment of something ancient inside you? Something rooted not in the now, but in the then, in a forgotten room of your childhood, where your longing first met rejection. You're not just choosing partners, you're choosing patterns. And those patterns were written long before you could name them. This is not about blame. This is about recognition. About waking up to the unconscious scripts that still pull your strings from the shadows. So before we continue, take a breath. And if what you hear stirs something inside, that quiet ache that says, "This is me," then like this video, share it with someone brave enough to look within, and subscribe to join us on this deeper journey through the human soul. In today's reflection, we're diving into a question that is as painful as it is necessary. Why do we seek love in places where it cannot truly live? Why do we chase people who echo our deepest wounds, and mistake that echo for passion? Through the lens of Carl Jung, we'll explore how the shadow chooses for us when we're not aware. With Viktor Frankl, we'll ask what meaning hides in our patterns. With Gabor Maté, we'll understand how trauma speaks the language of longing. And with Nietzsche and Schopenhauer, we'll confront the will beneath the illusion of free will. Because what if the chaos of your love life is not a failure, but a coded message from your inner world, begging you to finally wake up? You think you're looking for love. But what if you're really looking for yourself, in the arms of someone who mirrors your unhealed pain? What happens when we stop asking, "Why do they hurt me?" and start asking, "Why do I need them to?" Let's begin. But be warned. This is not a comfortable conversation. It's a descent. But sometimes, the only way to heal, is to walk directly into the wound. We don't sabotage ourselves because we're broken. We sabotage because, somewhere deep inside, we fear what we crave the most. To truly love, and be loved, is to be seen. Not the version we carefully curate, but the raw, tender, unguarded self we buried long ago. And the closer someone gets to touching that hidden part, the more our defenses rise. This is why so many run from real love. Because safe love feels alien to those who only knew love laced with fear. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's the trap, believing that our patterns are just bad luck or chemistry, when they are actually echoes of something deeper. We think we're choosing freely, but what if it's not freedom, just familiar pain dressed as passion? As children, we adapt. We learn that love must be earned, and pain is just part of the price. So we carry that equation into adulthood, seeking what we know, not what we need. Because the unconscious doesn't care if something is healthy, it only cares if it's familiar. Nietzsche, in his ruthless clarity, said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." When we don't face our inner chaos, we become ruled by it, drawn to people who mirror the parts of ourselves we've exiled. If your earliest experience of love was mixed with abandonment or anxiety, then peace may feel unnatural, even boring. You'll mistake emotional chaos for depth, and rejection for meaning. And somewhere in the background, guilt plays its quiet song, "If they hurt me, maybe I caused it. Maybe I deserve it." And the most haunting part? We often have no idea it's happening. We say, "I fell in love." But maybe we fell into a memory. A memory disguised as desire. Your type might just be the same wound, repeating itself with a different face. What you call attraction, might be your trauma, begging to be witnessed, hoping this time, it won't be abandoned. But trauma cannot be healed by repeating the pattern. It can only be healed by waking up to it. So what if the greatest enemy you've been running from is you? Not the version you post online, not the persona that smiles politely, but the fragment itself, the one who still believes that love must be earned through suffering. You've been searching for healing in other people. But the wound wasn't out there. It began in the quiet moments of your childhood, when you needed to be held and instead were told, be strong. Be quiet. Be good. That's where the disconnection started. Not from others, but from yourself. Sometimes, what you call destiny is just the repetition of unseen trauma. You think it's fate that you always end up with emotionally unavailable people. You think it's bad luck that you sabotage relationships when they start feeling safe. But Gabor Maté reminds us, trauma is not what happens to you. Trauma is what happens inside you as a result of what happened to you. That means healing isn't about rewriting your story, it's about reclaiming the narrator. We wear masks, not out of vanity, but out of fear. The fear that, if we drop them, we'll be rejected all over again. So we build entire identities on top of unresolved pain. Carl Jung taught that we all carry a persona, a social mask, designed to protect us. But if we cling to that mask too tightly, we lose access to the deeper parts of our being, including the capacity to love and be loved authentically. The more we deny our wounds, the louder they become, not as screams, but as patterns. Here's the hard truth. You can't outrun your inner world. You can change cities, lovers, careers, but if the inner wound remains unaddressed, it will recreate itself in every new scenario. Different face, same lesson. You'll keep meeting the same soul in different bodies until you stop and ask, what part of me is attracting this? What part of me still believes I deserve this? That question is terrifying, but it's the beginning of transformation. Because freedom doesn't come from fixing what's wrong with you. It comes from finally seeing what's true. And the truth is this. You are not broken, but you've been living through the lens of a wound. And the moment you stop fighting your pain, and start listening to it, you begin to heal. There is no formula. No quick fix. No guaranteed path. But there is something more powerful than all of that, awareness. The moment you begin to observe your patterns, not with judgment, but with curiosity, the cycle starts to shift. Because what you can see, you can eventually change. And the parts of you that you've spent a lifetime hiding, they don't need to be erased. They need to be embraced. Transformation doesn't begin when you finally get it right. It begins when you're brave enough to sit with what hurts, without numbing it, escaping it, or projecting it onto someone else. True growth is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. Before you decided you had to earn love. Before you learned to shrink yourself just to feel safe. Jung wrote, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And yet, that is the real work. To look within, into the shadows, the chaos, the forgotten grief, and say, you are part of me too. This is not weakness. This is power. Because what we repress doesn't disappear, it waits. And it controls us until we have the courage to face it directly. Taking responsibility for your inner world isn't about blaming yourself for your pain. It's about no longer outsourcing your healing to others. You stop waiting for someone to love you perfectly. And you start giving yourself the love you've been withholding. Not as a performance. Not as a strategy. But as a quiet revolution of compassion. No one else can do this part for you. And yes, it's hard. But there is beauty in the breaking. Because on the other side of avoidance, is truth. And in that truth, you'll discover something you may have forgotten. You were never unlovable, just unseen. Maybe the question isn't, why do I keep ending up here? Maybe the real question is, what part of me believes this is where I belong? Life doesn't hand us answers in neat packages. But it does whisper, every day, through our relationships, our reactions, our triggers. The invitation is not to fix everything overnight, but to start noticing. To become radically honest with yourself. Because change begins in the moment you choose to see, instead of repeat. So today, I'm not asking you to make a grand declaration. I'm simply asking you to pay attention. Watch how you respond when someone gets too close. Notice the patterns that pull you toward pain disguised as passion. And above all, ask yourself gently, what am I really looking for? Sometimes, just the act of watching, without judgment, becomes the first step toward healing. If this reflection stirred something inside you, help it reach someone else. Like this video so the message can spread. Comment below what part hit you the hardest. Your story might resonate with someone who needs it. And share it with that one friend who always chooses chaos, but deep down is just searching for love in a language they never learned. Because this isn't about a video. It's about your awakening. An awakening doesn't happen all at once, it begins with the decision to look inward, even when it hurts. If this content spoke to you, watch the video that's appearing on the screen right now. It might be exactly what your soul needed to hear today.